Welcome back! In the first lesson of our Bitrix24 Scrum Guide, we'll talk about the key elements of Scrum and what makes this methodology so effective. Of course, Scrum is such a big concept that it's hard to condense it in just a few key elements. Our main goal here is to show you how Scrum can be used to increase your team efficiency. Let's go! Short iterations. In Scrum, tasks rarely exceed a 2-week period. In fact, there's a special name for such iterations. They're called sprints. Ideally, by the end of a 2-week sprint, the team should produce a more or less meaningful result. If a task is too big to be completed within a single sprint, just break it down into a few smaller tasks or stages. This way, you always have a tangible, predictable result by the end of every iteration, and that gives you something to work with. If things go south, you don't have to wait until the project is complete to realize this fact and act upon it. Scrum allows for a quick course correction without jumping and abandoning the ship. This level of flexibility and adjustability is a must in today's fast-paced environment when you may have to adjust your plans and even goals during the course of a project. A single list of tasks and ideas. In Scrum, all of the project tasks, suggestions, ideas, and feedback are stored and prioritized in a special list called the backlog. Members of the team can always see what's in the backlog and find the task or idea they're looking for, whether it's about marketing, user experience, conversion rate, and so on. When planning a sprint, you pick the tasks that are most relevant to the current project stage. Team responsibility. In Scrum, you can't have someone personally responsible for the sprint result. It's always the whole team. Sure, your team members can complete their tasks on time perfectly, but if there's just one person on the team who drops the ball, the whole team fails to deliver. That's what's great about Scrum. There is no need for the project manager to stand behind people's backs and micromanage. Team members have to communicate with each other more, which in turn leads to a more productive collaboration. This is one of the many positive effects your team will experience when they switch to Scrum: improved communication and collaboration. Task completion criteria, or definition of done. Before a sprint starts, the Scrum team sits down to discuss the task completion criteria, called the definition of done in Scrum, to make sure everyone's on the same page when it comes to deciding whether a task is fully completed. This way, every team member will have very specific criteria they can use before marking a task as complete. As a result, you get a more independent, more focused team that doesn't need a constant back and forth between the team members and the project manager. Everyone on the team can sign off on their own tasks and have full responsibility for the result. Systemic, transparent approach. Although it may seem a bit chaotic at first, the Scrum method is actually quite rigidly structured. It features 4 types of team meetings. Number 1, sprint planning meeting. Number 2, daily stand-up meeting. Number 3, sprint review meeting. And number 4, sprint retrospective meeting. If a team is working in 2-week sprints, the schedule will look something like this. Let's say Monday, planning meeting. Here, the team picks the tasks for the upcoming sprint. Daily stand-up meeting. Once the sprint is started, the team gets together for a quick 15-minute daily stand-up meeting every morning. During this meeting, every team member talks about what they did yesterday and what they're gonna do today, and if there are any problems. This way, the team can quickly come up with solutions to such problems before they turn into a disaster. Next is sprint review. 2 weeks later, when the sprint is complete, the team gets together for a sprint review to show the results they produced to the project manager and other people involved. Sprint retrospective. This is an internal meeting for the team to discuss the positives and negatives of the completed sprint and see what can be done to improve the working process. It's also worth noting that meetings in Scrum cannot be rescheduled or cancelled. This rigid, predictable schedule ensures a steady pace and complete transparency to the point where every team member knows exactly what's going on at any given moment. Just 15 minutes a day is all it takes to get the team going. Scrum does away with hour-long meetings and other unnecessary distractions. Working in short, 2-week bursts keeps everyone focused and motivated. Small problems can be identified and resolved during the course of a sprint, while major issues can be approached and tackled during the sprint retrospective. So, how to get started with Scrum? Before your team can switch to Scrum, they have to embrace and adopt its rules and rituals. That's where you're going to need a leader who will teach everyone else how to apply Scrum and control the implementation process. In fact, you just might happen to be that leader. All you have to do is complete this course and you'll be equipped with enough knowledge to implement the Scrum method in your company. Besides, you've got all the right Scrum tools inside Bitrix24. You don't have to go all in. Start with one department and then gradually involve more and more people as you deem appropriate. Not every team or department has to switch to Scrum, so you may give it a try before finding the perfect balance between traditional methods and Scrum for your company. This is the beginning of a really exciting journey, so hop in, buckle up, and see you in the next lesson.